Welcome to the Speak with People podcast. My name is Jason Raitz. I'll be your host, and this podcast exists to help you improve your communication skills. Whether you communicate one-on-one, to a team, from a stage, or from behind a screen, we know that when we improve our communication skills as leaders, it exponentially changes everything. It improves our relationships, it improves our leadership skills, and it improves our business skills. So let's get ready to dive into this next episode. Here is the message for today's episode. You're not as good as you think. Boy, I hate even saying that because so much of my message in life as a leader is you are enough. One of my very good friends wrote a book called You Are Enough. I believe that. But when it comes to our communication skills, when it comes to us actually executing on our communication skills, here's the reality for us all, myself included, Simon Sinek included, all of the great communicators. You're not as good as you think. How does that sit with you? How does it change your perception at all? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Maybe some of you have already turned this off. I hope you haven't. But I would love to hear from you. Have you ever gotten to a place as a communicator where you just know you're not as good as you think? You're just not as good as you think. And maybe for a while, you've been running on just your pure charisma. And when I talk about communicating, speak with people, we want to help empower you to be a healthy and influential communicator. There are great organizations that focus and centralize on just one area of communication. Today, for instance, I did podcast interviews with 3 different leaders, not all at the same time, 3 different slots. One from the Netherlands. He specializes in workplace communication. Your emails, your text messages, your Basecamp, your Slack, the questions you ask, your body language, like that type of specific workplace communication. Then I spoke with a leader from Atlanta who spent her childhood in Zimbabwe. She's a PhD, she's brilliant, and she specializes on how to give and receive feedback. That's it, how to give and receive feedback. That's that area of specialization. I talked to another leader today. We talked about how to grow your speaking business. That's her specialization. So Speak with People, our specialization is we want to help you be healthy and an influential communicator, not just as a public speaker, not just in giving presentations, but we wanted you to be a well-rounded, holistically healthy communicator. Like that's our obsession as an organization. And when we say that, we think of that in 4 different parts of your leadership communication. The first part is your one-on-one. We call that Speak with People. We want to speak with people, not at them. We want to breathe life into them. We want to fill them with words that encourage them and that are honest and that are loving and that are challenging to them. Then we want to help you become a great communicator to your team, whether it's communicating to your boss up, communicating down to your team, or your left and right. Like we want you to be a great team communicator. Third, we do want you to be a great presenter because your leadership will change if you learn how to present with people. So we say one-on-one is speak with people. To a team is lead with people. Presenting from a stage or from the front of a boardroom is present with people. And then there's this whole new array of communication. And yes, all 3 of those areas have little parts of the 4th area, but it's kind of become its whole new thing. And we want to help you communicate from a screen like I am right now. And so we call that online with people because you're on Zoom calls and you're doing videos like this and you're filming reels on TikTok and you're doing all the things. And so if you can speak with people, lead with people, present with people, and communicate online with people, you are going to be a well-rounded, influential communicator. And your stock, your value will do nothing but skyrocket in your organization. But you have to get to the breaking point of realizing you're not as good as you think. Listen to a great podcast today with Donald Miller interviewing an amazing author. This author has written 40-some books, and his name is Donnie Yeager. And he has interviewed, you name it, John Wooden, Michael Jordan. I mean, all of the greats. And he said one of the things that keep each of them going and fueled their greatness was the reality that they weren't where they needed to be in their progress. And so it just kind of kept them going. When Michael Jordan was cut from the basketball team as a sophomore, he just kept going. And so we've got to realize that as a communicator, we're not as good as we think we are. This happens all the time in our marriages, right? All the time. We think we're just a stellar communicator. We're a great listener. And then one day our spouse opens up about how they don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. They don't feel included. They don't feel a part. That is hard. That's difficult. You're not as good as you think. But it doesn't stop there. It's okay not to be as good as you think, but you have to keep going with it. So you keep improving. Because really at the end of the day, my desire is to be an exceptional communicator. I want to finish conversations with people, whether in person, on the phone, over Zoom. I want to finish conversations with people and I want them to go, wow, okay. That conversation, Jason's communication skills inspired me, and I've got to continue to grow and learn. There's a lot of areas, though. Ask my family. Ask the people I work with. I mean, there are areas that I'm just not as good as I think I am. So what areas are you not as good as you think you are? I mean, this is tough, right? This is like internal work. This is to the core, self-awareness issues. This is being serious with, and taking it seriously. Because a lot of times we're like, I'm getting good results. Like I've been married 12 years. My wife seems happy, or my husband seems happy. My kids seem okay. I get raises every year. But imagine where you would be if you just improved 1% every single day, 1% every single week, 1% every single month. I mean, do the James Clear Atomic Habits and just apply a 1% change. Imagine the transformation that would happen in your life, in your leadership, in your communication, in your network, in your presence, in your influence. It would be mind-boggling. It would be absolutely unheard of. And so how can you improve 1%? How can you take I'm not as good as I think I am, but then how do I make the changes? How do I create a plan? How do I get better? Who do I talk to? What do I have to do? And then what happens when I get to the next level? And then because probably what will happen is you'll get to a place where you're like, okay, I got to work harder. I got to figure out what to improve. I'm going to do those things and do those things. And then you'll even out for a little bit. And you'll be like, hey, I'm doing great. Things are popping. And then you'll probably get to that same place. Wait a minute. I'm just not as good as I think I am. And so then again, you have to take a step forward and you have to go, okay, what do I got to improve? What do I got to improve? Because as leaders, we just can't be satisfied with where we're at right now. We got to dream big. Lately, I've been working on some exercises every single morning. Now, I'm a person of faith. So the moment I wake up, I pray. I thank God for blessing me with another day. I ask that my life would honor him. And then I immediately go into some dream phrases, some things that I'm thinking about all the time. Some people may call them manifestations or manifesting, or some people may call it, success mapping or dream mapping. I want to speak these into existence in my life because I know that our words are powerful. And part of words are you can speak things into existence. And so I want to speak these things into existence. And so I speak things about my business, speak with people about my speaking, about what kind of engagements that I want to book, the amounts that I want to be able to book, all those different kind of things. And so what are those areas? So let's be honest. Let's start from the beginning. What are a couple of the areas that you need to improve on right now? What are the things you need to improve on? It was about 22 years ago. I'm speaking at a youth event. It was my first event with 500 people. 500 people. Up until that point, maybe 100 was the biggest. But this was 500. No, I take that back. It was probably 750. This is the biggest event, 750 people. And 25 years ago, I was definitely in a phase where I wanted everybody to believe that Jason Raitz was the greatest speaker on the planet. That's what I wanted. I grew up idolizing Ted Williams, great baseball player, Boston Red Sox, Hall of Famer, last player until recently with some of the stats changed from the Negro League to hit over 400, 401, and 406, in 1941. But Ted, his dream was he wanted to walk down the street and he wanted people to say, there goes Ted Williams, the greatest hitter who ever lived. And he focused on hitting. And so for many, many years, I focused so singularly, so perfectly, so much energy just on my speaking. I wanted to be great. I'll just be honest with you. I wanted people to go, wow, Jason is a great communicator from the front. And I got into one of those phases I talked about a little ago. I got into a phase where I went, I'm good. I'm really good. I was talking with a speaker earlier today about that place you get as a speaker when you realize you have the power from the front to move an entire room. It's powerful. I'll just be honest with you. When you get to the place that you know your material so well, you know the nuances of how the material, you know how to use your voice as an instrument, you know how to command the stage in a humble way, but also a confident way. You know how to captivate a room. You can move a room to laughter where everybody is laughing and holding their stomach because they're in pain from laughing. You can move a room to anger because you're telling a story that's just frustrating them and you're trying to get them to understand your point. You can move a room to tears. When you get to that place, it's scary. It's dangerous because you're like, wow, I'm a big dog. I'm something special. It's at that place you can get humbled pretty quickly. And I remember doing this big event, 750 people, and I've always prided myself on preparation. That interview that I referenced earlier today, Donald Miller was interviewing Don Yeager, and he said one of the things that you have to understand, or one of the best ways to be able to succeed, and I want to get this quote right, and I can't find it because they didn't back up, but he said, you've got to have incredible preparation. The thing that set Michael Jordan apart, preparation. The thing that set Kobe Bryant apart, preparation. And so I've always prided myself in my preparation. I want, as I send my notes, as I send my slide deck, I want those people to go, wow, he really spent a lot of time. And I remember I felt after I gave this presentation, I just killed it. Like the room laughed, they moved, they clapped afterwards. You know, I was like, okay. Got off stage, hung out with a bunch of people afterwards that were going to talk to me. And then later I was cleaning up my stuff and a guy comes up to me on stage and he just says, I just want you to know you're just not as good as you think you are. And I don't know what kind of speaker you are. Me, I'm a passionate speaker. I give 110% when I'm on the stage. It's like I start full and I just empty myself like a water pitcher. I get done speaking, I got nothing left. Like I just left it all on the stage. I just want to like athletes do. They leave it all on the field. And so I didn't have the energy or I would have slapped the heck out of that guy. But I was also in a very prideful season of life. I was in a season of life where I thought I was the greatest thing that walked on planet Earth. I mean, just like the Ted Williams story, right? I wanted people to go, wow, Jason Raitz, he is a great speaker. And this guy, he just came up to me and he said, I just want you to know you're not as good as you think you are. He's like, there are areas in your communication that are great, Jason, but there are some gaping holes and you really need to improve them. And if you do, you will be at another level as a communicator. And I couldn't even get any words out because I was gasping for air. I was already exhausted. I was taxed for spending the last however, much time on stage. And then I was just flabbergasted. I'm like, what the H? Come on, man. What are you talking about? And so he walked off. I didn't even know how to respond. And I went to my car and I drove to my hotel and I got into my room and I thought to myself, what is that guy talking about? And I just couldn't sleep. I was going through my talk. I was looking for those gaping holes. I was trying to figure out. So that set me on a journey of asking people, how can I improve? So let's talk about how you can continue to improve as a communicator across those 4 areas, whether it's one-on-one, in your team leadership, in your stage presence, your stage communication, or your online communication. So it could be one of those areas. It could be, each of those. It could be you collectively. But let's go through 3 specific steps that you need to take, I need to take on a continual basis to make sure that we're not satisfied with status quo. We're not satisfied with staying at the same level. We're not satisfied with remaining at the same place. So, and this is kind of the journey I went on as I was trying to figure out, okay, what does this guy mean? How do I figure out the holes in my communication? So again, whether it's your one-on-one communication, your team communication, your stage communication, or your screen communication. First is this. 1, you just got to get over yourself. Like, for Pete's sakes, like, pride is our greatest enemy. And you have to stop listening to all the voices in your head. Vanessa Van Edwards calls them the gremlins. Like, the gremlins that just tell you those stuff. And gremlins will tell you one of 2 things. One, they'll tell you you're the greatest ever. You don't need to listen to anybody. Nobody's even close. You don't gotta take anything they say at heart. Or gremlins reminds you you're not very good. You'll never amount. You'll never get better. You'll never speak to 1,000. You'll never make 2,500 off a speaking engagement. You'll never make 5,000. You'll never make 6,500. They tell you all of those kind of things. And so you got to get over yourself, and you got to stop listening to the gremlins. You got to stop listening to the gremlin. And you can't let pride get in the way. Pride is, oh my goodness, it is just, it just is such a killer. Like, it literally has the ability to affect every ounce of your leadership, every ounce of your communication. Because you want a healthy amount of pride. You want to be prideful in the sense that you are a captivating communicator. You are a healthy communicator. You are a great team communicator. But you also want pride in the sense that I'm going to be open to learning how I can continue to improve. And so get over yourself. You got to start there. And you got to start on a journey to figure out how you can get better, because there's just so many different areas. If you want to get over yourself, stop thinking about yourself so much. I know some speakers who are like, all they do is spend time talking about how to improve their hair and their clothes, and they want to portray the part. Yes, we should carry ourselves in an impressive way. Yes, we should dress not like a slob. Little rant. I come from church leadership world in my past, and it just drives me bananas when pastors or worship pastors will wear a hat from the front. I'm like, come on. Like, at least and I'm more against people wearing a hat, because if you cover up the eyes, you need to be able to see people's eyes when they communicate. So get over yourself. Look for ways to continue to improve, and stop thinking about yourself so much. Yes, we're on this journey to improve, but if you're like, oh, I only got 500 likes today, like, come on, really? Get over yourself. The second is you got to learn how to value feedback. You just got to learn how to value feedback. And it took me a long time. I talked with a brilliant leader today, Dr. Mary Raitz. She'll be podcast episode, I think it's 153, but she talked about how to give and receive feedback. And we went through all of it. And feedback is imperative for your growth as a communicator. If you're not as good as you think you are, it's partly because you're not listening to feedback. As much as I don't like the way the guy said it to me in the story that I shared a little bit ago, he was right. I decided to start asking people for feedback. And I always gave myself feedback. I could critique myself as crazy hard as I absolutely wanted, but I wasn't asking other people. And I was always going into the feedback like, ooh, like on pins and needles. Cause I was like, I don't know what you're going to say. And I don't know if I want to be a part of your feedback. And so it was hard. It was really, really difficult. So start valuing it. Look for ways to ask other people for help. Now, here is the crazy thing about, especially if you're communicating from the front. Not many people do it in the grand scheme of things. And so if you stand in front of 1,000 people, you're going to come across very few people in your life who regularly stand in front of 1,000 people and who have the experience of what it's like to get on a stage. So that being said, when I go to ask for someone's critique and their feedback, I always put it through the filter of, I understand this person's never going to experience this, or maybe they never will. So they're not going to quite know the full power, the full weight. But it doesn't mean I can't look for gold nuggets throughout their feedback. So look for people who both do it regularly and who don't do it. Look for people like the event manager. Look for people like your boss. Look for people like a team member. Look for people, if you're an influencer, ask some of your listeners. Just be honest with me. Those kind of things. So value feedback. And then the third step, and I'll finish with this one, is you got to ask the question. And I believe this is a Dr. Henry Cloud question, but it's what's it like on the other side of me? What's it like on the other side of me? Oof. Sit down with someone close to you and say, what's it like on the other side of me? Specifically when it comes to my communication. Do you feel heard? Do you feel like I hear you? Do you feel like I listen to you? Do you feel like you got to get my attention? Do I communicate exceptionally? What areas are lacking in my communication? And just listen. When you do listen, don't cross your arms, because crossing your arms is a universal sign of defensiveness. Put your hands on your lap. If you're going to put them on your table, it's great to have them open. If you're squeezing your hands or thoozing them or putting them in fists, it could communicate something else. So ask the question, what's it like on the other side of me? And start to put together the plan. Listen, we're all not as good as we think we are, but we're not as bad as we think we are either. We're not. We're just not. And so you're probably better. You're actually probably better than you give yourself credit for. But we just can't be driven by the, hey, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. The great business philosopher, sales leader, Jim Rohn, he's credited for a quote that kind of goes like this. If you're pleased with the results you're getting, your communication, you're probably just getting by. But if you improve your communication skills, you'll work miracles. And so my challenge to you is continue to improve your communication skills. Look for every possible way, whether it's a course. That's why, Speak with People, we put together the presentation blueprint. This is just to help you get extremely clear on developing a presentation powerfully in a confident and captivating way. That's why we created the Speak Like a Leader course. So when you have opportunities to stand up in front of your team, you're ready. That's why we created the How to Communicate course. So you know how to communicate better one-on-one with people. That's why we created some of these courses. So you're ready. So get coaching if you need to. Find a coach that will help you walk through these things. Ask your employer, ask your boss, hey, what are the things that I'm just missing? Ask your coworkers. But do everything you can to keep on improving. Hey, we've got some exciting days coming up for Speak with People and the Speak with People podcast. So make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you're active part of the Speak with People Facebook community group. Please like stuff, comment stuff, add to the conversations. Thanks for liking stuff on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, our Twitter, our X. What else do we have? Instagram. I just so appreciate you being active with those kind of things. And look out. This fall is just going to be incredible for the podcast. We've got some incredible things coming, and I cannot wait to share them with you. All right, friends, thank you so much. And we'll see you for the next episode of the Speak with People podcast. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Speak with People podcast. We hope that you were encouraged. We hope that you were inspired and challenged to improve your communication skills. I want to thank you again for being a part of the Speak with People podcast community. Make sure you don't miss out on being a part of the Speak with People Facebook community group. Just head to Facebook, type in Speak with People, scroll down and join our community, because every single day we're encouraging each other. We're helping each other to improve our communication skills. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.